What's
Well,
up?
I didn't waste a second here going live, so we be live on my side.
Oh, we're already live. Wow, we don't waste no time.
No,
Okay, I'm going live on Facebook here as soon as I get this thing on my handy
okay.
dandy Joby.
All right. So I'll
We do
just
have a lot to talk about.
oh
Got it
geez.
all written down.
All right. So
So
yeah,
get
dear,
started. Where are we going? Oh,
all
hold on. Give me a second.
right. So dear
Facebook
audience,
time. Here we go.
yeah,
Facebook won't let me log in. I'll go into that a little bit later.
it won't let you log in,
Yeah, I can't get a password. I'll
huh?
talk about it right here in just a second.
All right.
Okay, we're live here on Facebook. Welcome everybody to another edition of Common Sense News and Entertainment. Here it's Thursday night, and
Okay.
it is August the 13th, 2026. I'm
That's
here with
right.
Kortnowski for another edition of Yankee T News. And yeah, so I've been using Facebook now for quite a while. I've got, I think, quite a few followers now. Things are going well. But now in the business model for Common Sense News and Entertainment, I want to set it up for, the right way. And of course, to do that, and I'm logged into it just fine on my phone here. We're doing it live right now.
Yeah.
But on my desktop, which is this monitor you're looking at right now, I want to log into it so I can make the changes I need to make to set it up for the news network. And the password I had written down for it won't accept.
So you can't change it.
Well, it just says you hit forget password. And of course, it will give you a link to your email to your phone to reset your password. You know what it does when I do that?
What?
It sends me a message that says, "Oh, sure, we can help you reset your password. You have one option to do that. That is just give us your password." And I'm
Jeez.
like, I don't have the password. I went around that on the phone and on the thing a few times.
Yeah.
I had no choice but to write to them and ask them for help, which I
Okay.
did about 5 days ago. I've heard nothing back.
Nothing. Okay.
So I'm a little upset about all that. Now,
Okay.
what that means is I'll have to start my Common Sense News and Entertainment Facebook profile completely separate from what I'm already doing, and then that would really make it a lot harder to promote it.
As Eric would remind you, we're living on rented land.
Yeah, nothing and everything. Nothing means anything with Eric. There's no facts, right, in the news. Is that what he
No,
said?
that's not Eric. That's Ricky.
Oh, Ricky. Okay.
Ricky
Well,
is
Eric
not,
is also skeptical of the news, I think, too, which for good reason.
but not in the same way.
But it's a little frustrating. So I think we're going to just trust YouTube, and we're going to subscribe tomorrow. I'm subscribing to Stripe.
Uh-huh.
One for my original business and one for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, check out my Welcome to Reality sign that Melissa painted for me. Huh?
What? How did she do that?
It was always there, but you couldn't really see the writing on it too well. So she went
Okay.
and painted it bright white, and it's beautiful. She's amazing.
Hmm.
Welcome to Reality, everybody. That's what you're going to get here at CSNE.
There you go. Right. Well, I'd say it's an appropriate term for all that we're dealing with.
Oh,
Although when
handwriting is
when you have Ricky laying in, it's called Nothing's Real.
Yeah, well,
reality is always hidden, and we don't have access to it. That's right, because he always likes to say we're living in the Truman Show.
Well, I feel like that when I'm on the road.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel like when I come to a road to pull out onto the road,
Yes,
I could be sitting somewhere and looking at there's no cars. It's dead. It's like a desert. As soon as I approach the stop sign and get ready to pull out, here comes 15 of them. They're ready for me. And I call them
jeez,
Mr. and Mrs. Truman.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Or I could be in the middle. I could be on the most desolate road in the world, and there's always that car right there. And I always call it Mrs. Truman. Hello, Mr. Truman. Good morning, Mr. Truman. It's weird. It really is quite bizarre. I know as a reasonable person that it doesn't always work out that way, and it works the other way too. But you don't seem to know. I don't seem to notice those as much.
Well, I'll give you another example. I remember a long time ago when I was flying into Los Angeles, and the jet was making what was really a low, long approach. So you could look down and really see the street, the cars, the people. And for the longest time, this jet plane was flying along the street, and there was no one. No one. I'm saying this is one of the largest cities in the world. How can there be no people in the street? Yet there were no people in the street. That's right.
Well, there's a town up in Vermont called St. Johnsbury.
Yeah.
It's about 2/3 of the way up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little country working poor white town, pretty much.
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was a movie theater there. If you drove up there on a Saturday or on a even at night during the week, maybe up to people go to bed early up there. But if it was 7:30 or earlier or 8 o'clock or earlier, you'd see people walking up and down the street.
Okay.
Families, there's a McDonald's there. The McDonald's, as you drove by, you had people in there standing in line. Well, now you go there.
Yeah.
This goes back to, honestly, it goes back to when Obama was elected president. Honestly, over the last 15 or 20 years, you go up there, and at those same times, and it looks like a ghost town.
Okay.
Like there's nobody there. The movie theater finally, I believe, closed recently, and the McDonald's is gone, and it looks like some Russian town or something.
A Russian town.
Yeah, you don't see people there. Like it's all just shut down. And I don't know.
When were you in Russia?
Well, there's no economy.
Well, you make me suspicious.
Well, there's no economy in this town anymore. There's no free enterprise. There's no movies. There's no ice cream. There's no gas stations.
Yeah, but maybe you have a point there, comrade, because I remember my friend Alexander Solzhenitsyn. You know what he did when he came to America? He moved to Vermont because it reminded him of Mother Russia.
There you go. So
nobody in Russia, nobody in Vermont. Oh, of course. Why didn't I realize that?
Another time is 2011, I believe was the year. No, it was after that. 2000. Obama was still president. It was late in his second term. Must have been 2013 or 14. I drove from Florida all the way up the coast, and I was sick of. I've done it several times before in the past, and I was sick of 95. So I decided to take Route 1 and some of the other roads.
Route 1.
Yeah, Route 1. Route 1 is a U.S. route that leads Interstate 95 all the way up the coast. There's other roads too that do. What's that?
You can go on Route 1. You can go from Maine to Florida.
That's correct. I chose to follow Route 1 further through the Carolinas in particular, rather than 95. And I saw a horrifying sight. All the manufacturing industrial parks that were shut down, and there was very little. It was Obama's economy at its peak, which was
unfair. That was Wall Street's economy. They're the ones who arranged for the removal of all that manufacturing.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So good point, and that leads me to.
Okay.
I think
Eric,
I believe that the assault on this country has now been 60 years or more in the making.
Yes, or more.
Something that just started with Obama, or just started with Trump coming out and splitting things up. It really goes back to the 60s, the infiltration of our universities by crazy, loony left-wing professors that began indoctrinating our kids into. That's how it started. And in the media with morons like Dan Rather and look, Walter Cronkite played a good game, but he didn't tell us the real stories. Really.
No, I really think it's
the way it is. No, that's not the way it is. There's a lot more than that, man.
No. This started when Eric joined the Communist Party.
Yeah, Eric, when did you become a communist? Hey, Eric, when?
Well, the big thing now is like a lot of the naysayers or the opposition or people in opposition right now are they're just gaslighting and mockery. It's kind of like they're trying to flip the script by saying like everything to a conservative or a person who supports Trump is communist, yada yada yada. And so that's like their whole argument. But it begs the larger question, which is what do Democrats or any politician for that matter, but I guess particular people who are in the Democrat camp, what policies do they have to offer that would actually be representative of me, or America for that matter? I mean, they can't. I've not yet seen anybody put forth a coherent, common sense argument. No pun intended, Jason. Common sense news and entertainment. But yes, so I've not heard anyone put forth a coherent plan or argument or anything that actually is representative of prosperity or individual rights or freedom. It's always about group rights or, or a certain cross section of our communities that
And those that
get
are
rights.
those
Well,
are
I don't think the
disadvantaged
MAGA
or
movement
oppressed.
is. I don't think the. I think the MAGA movement is trying to create prosperity. It's trying to promote capitalism, which gives people a chance to be prosperous. So I think there's. It's not all that
Well, I'm
bad.
an advocate for the free markets. In other words, I
Yeah.
mean, I would like to see, the value of a thing is worth whatever anyone's willing to pay for it, right? So, and there are a number of variables that would dictate the costs of a thing that somebody wants. How accessible is it? How prolific is it? Um, is it dependable? Is it reliable? Is it something that would retain its value? These sorts of things. So, like for example, I spend a lot of time on Facebook Marketplace. For it's just a real. I don't know if it's a guy thing or whatever it is, but maybe it is because guys like gadgets and things and
I sold my
that
old
sort of thing.
car on that.
Probably the male equivalent of a woman who likes to go on Pinterest or shops for dresses and shoes and all the the baubles and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
it's probably a similar type of phenomenon. But anyway, so I'll go and I'll look at something, and in so doing, you get a sense of the market for that thing when you're looking at prices and the way that
What we'll call availability.
the availability, how it's presented. So, for example, like boats, which is something I know a little bit about. So, boats are, by all stretch of the imagination, are not entirely great investments. However,
For fun.
they're well. I mean, yes, but believe it or not, there are boats that are actually investments and will give you a return on investment. Um, and there's a specific cross section of boats that do very well, actually, at either retaining their value or increasing in value, which is an odd thing to say about a boat, but but it speaks to the point. So, if you're going to look for something, you're talking about. I'm all about free markets, and this kind of comes back to what we've been talking about with respect to the state of Connecticut and the Connecticut economy. And I think we had this discussion a week or so ago in one of the about like what does the state of Connecticut actually produce, or like how does it promote? What's being promoted in terms of growth? What gives a person or a family or whatever an incentive to want to stay here? And I think we know the answer to that is kind of multifold, right? So, and what I mean by that is, so there seems to have been a concerted effort, at least on the federal level, and of course in the states, where there's an assault on the nuclear family, the entire whole nuclear family paradigm, with respect to the LGBT movements, and of course, if you go back to the 60s or whatever, I think it was the LGBT, or not, excuse me, not LGBT, the LBJ administration, I think, was the administration that was instrumental in they did this whole thing with keeping the father out of the home and promoting single parent, like, in other words, they would subsidize women for having children, but the condition was for them getting state funding or money, was that they had to
the father had to be absent.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Have to be
I'll be right back. I have to hold.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
happened.
This gets to what Eric is saying about the assault on the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Things like gender affirming care,
Mhm.
this It's very dangerous.
Well, don't forget parental rights. I mean, this thing about gender affirming care has been one of the attacks on parental rights, but it's not, in my mind, the biggest one. Okay, it's the most alarming one. Shall I call it the most sensationalist one? And because you've had people like Attorney General Tong promising to defend transgender care over parental rights.
No, it's like a four-headed monster with just one of the heads, you know.
Yeah. So it's the assault on the nuclear family has many faces, as you just said.
And it goes back a long time. It goes back, like Eric said, long before Barack Obama came along, even.
Right. So I'm trying to decide which one has had the worst impact. And I'm not coming up with a quick answer.
You know what the worst one, I think, goes back to long ago when they, okay, this is going to maybe make some women mad, but the bottom line is the women's liberation movement of the mid 20th century and into the late 20th century was, in my opinion, looking back at it, another government promoted thing where they put forth a few women with, their muscles, like we can bring home the bacon, fry it up like in a pan. And then of course the welfare system that came along with that made it basically so that the woman drove the woman out of the house, isolated one-on-one raising of mothers of their children, and created a two-income family situation, forcing latchkey kids who come home from school with no supervision, no parenting. This is a breakup of the form of the nuclear family, and that happened between the 50s and the 80s, and that's a disgusting, from the 60s to the 80s, honestly, and that was a disgusting, deliberate attempt to break up the nuclear family, and it worked.
Right. So, and I guess the other part people want to talk about is with it was the decline in the birth rate. Wait, did we look at that chart the other night?
Listen, yes. No, I don't know if we looked at a chart, but I can tell you that most of our country's history during the agricultural age and up until the 1950s, I would say that each child that you had represented a positive effect on your family, financially speaking. In other words, another hand on the farm, another guy that can help whatever the family's doing, another part of, or at least, and then that became, during the 20th century, that became a neutral factor. And then since then, now each kid you have makes your family much more financially strained.
Right. You're going to love this. Okay.
And that creates a lower birth rate.
Oh, it's better than that. Have a look.
Or fertility by political orientation. Oh, geez, great. Mean number of children. It's hard to read these. It's very small lettering. I
know.
Left of center, right of center.
Blue is conservatives, green is independents, and red is liberals.
They're having less kids, is what you're saying.
Let's just say that liberals are being outproduced by the conservatives in terms
of.
Good.
Well, they abort more of their own kids. That doesn't surprise me when you consider that the left is about death and abortion, whereas the right is about life. And so good. This is good news.
It is.
These are raw. If this date, where this data came from, though.
All right. So this actually was published in Nature magazine, believe it or not.
Okay. Well, they seem fair.
One of the most reputable science journals in the world. Now, mind you, this particular chart ends in 1982. So what's happened since 1982, I would like to believe that for conservatives, the birth rate is at least leveled off. It might have gone higher.
Oh, this goes only to 1982. Oh, geez, yeah, it doesn't help.
Right. Okay, but it stands to reason that and so this is 1.5. And by the way, I have another chart to show you. So notice here where can you see?
Before you switch charts, though, this is also, we're dealing with skulls full of mush, newborn babies here. The way our education system is corrupted, a lot of these kids are getting indoctrinated as they get older. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, if they're being or let's put it this way: if they're being indoctrinated to believe in abortion, then they're stupid enough to believe it just as well.
Well, I think class envy is one of the ways that you get to people. You sell people on socialism the most, by making them feel like they're getting. It is a struggle to make life in general is a struggle to make ends meet. And when people struggle to make ends meet, it's easy to tweak their envy and tell them, hey, look at this guy's got $1 trillion. You got nothing. And I think that helps them sell their crap to people. I think it's a bigger threat than,
That point has been made. That point has been made. So here, I'm going to move that one, and I want to bring up the other one, which isn't really quite as startling, but it's still worth noting. Let's see here. Oh, wait, that's right. I didn't upload it yet. Okay. So here we go. Here we go. Where are you? Come on. Come on. All you dig nib. There it is. There it is. Okay. So it's just one of these silly things where you start to ask yourself, well, all right. So all right. So this is the fertility rate in Iran.
That's good.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't want to have a kid in Iran.
So here's the thing. Okay. Now, mind you, they will tell you that Iran is a Muslim country. All them damn Shias running around trying to control people's lives.
Oh,
in fact, the morality police recently shut down a number of shops in Tehran only because women were not wearing the damn hijab.
How come we have more recent data on fertility in Iran than we do on the United States?
It's just what I happened to find.
I got
if I had looked harder and spent more time on it, all right, I would have found stuff that was more recent.
Well, we'll make sure we have somebody else for our research team.
Okay, so here we go again. You see that dark line there on the bottom?
I see it. Barely, I see it.
Okay, that's the replacement rate. Birth rates above that line, the population can grow.
I see.
Birth rates below, the population is shrinking. Okay. So
I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess that's good.
Well, so what it means is that the population of Iran is slowly shrinking. Okay. Not as bad as some other countries, because apparently there can be a profound difference where the birth rate is, say, 1.68 here versus, say, 1.35. They're both declining, but the impact for the 1.35 will be sort of outsized compared to the 1.68 examples. Anyway, I'll tuck that away. That just made the point. Iran's population is apparently decreasing too, ladies and gentlemen. So I just had to share that with you.
Okay. Well, what do you think? Do you think this squeeze, this diplomacy,
global population is increasing across the board?
Well, that makes no sense.
Well, then argue with Elon Musk.
Well, the global population is increasing across the board.
Okay, first of all, what's the most populated? Well, there are two countries to argue over: India and China. Okay, There's a whole thing out there. Some might say conspiracy theory, some stupid way. But the fact of the matter is that the Chinese government has continued to, shall we say, shade and alter and leave open some questions as to the true size of their country with respect to population. All right. The 1.4 million people number is bogus. 1.4 billion is a bogus number. And there are all kinds of reasons as to why you should believe that. That the Indian population...
Why we should or shouldn't believe it?
Should no.
Should not
believe it. No. Okay. And and the problem is, here's what's weird. Since the Chinese government is not reporting on their birth and death rate data, okay, there are still ways for researchers to get bits and pieces of data here and there that are indicative of population trends. So they're indirect measures. So if that's all you got to go on,
satellite footage is one of them, right? You
Sorry?
brought that up. You brought up last time you talked about this. You brought up the satellite footage.
Correct.
The illumination of the use of electricity, essentially, lights at night from satellite will tell you it's a good indication of how many people are around.
Right. So if you compare light intensity in different industrialized countries and then compare it with China, it's obvious that China is much lower, and on a per capita basis, it's much lower. Now, what you're left with is a suggestion maybe that it is not about per capita, but that lower light intensity that you see from the night sky for China may reflect its actual population.
Or it might reflect just less electricity.
Well, they've been building out power plants like maniacs.
True.
They're building a huge number of coal power plants, so said. Okay, if they're doing that, then there should be a heat signature at least that satellites can pick up indicating that that's true. And I'd say that it's being called into question. All right. Okay, so all of this it's a big question mark. Oh God, where did she go? For a while, I was watching this woman who's a Chinese expat named Lei, L-E-I, and she was putting out these videos, and she did several where she collected all this different data from different people about what's the true population of China. And boy, oh boy, I mean, it's an open question, but what you end up with is some number. Let's put it this way. In the worst case for China, hold on to your hat. The population of China could be as low as 400 million. On the high end, 800, 900 million. Okay, but that's a lot of slosh. Okay, there's a lot of uncertainty.
That's still both well below the 1.4 billion reported population.
Yes. All right. So it's an unsupportable number. And another part of the analysis has to do with their child policies. Okay, if you were to go back, right, the one-child policy and how long that went on for,
back to the 70s or 60s or something.
Yeah. Okay, and so there was another case where there was a Chinese official at some meeting somewhere. I don't know whoever caught this, but according to this person, this Chinese official was boasting that China led the world in abortions with over 400 million abortions since whenever. And I can't even get my head around something.
All right. So one of the contributors in the comment section is wondering why you talk so much about Iran, but never talk about Israel.
Well, because we're at war with Iran, dude.
All right. So wait. Get back to the Chinese population thing there for a minute.
We're not at war with Israel, although you might have some conspiracy.
No, I think part of the problem is that their concern could be that the support for Israel has grown extremely dim amongst many people in the United States.
Fine, but all right.
And of course, back to Ron Paul's point, I think back in 2008, where he stated that, but for America's support for Israel, would there be any need to go to war with Iran, et cetera, et cetera?
Dumbest thing I ever heard. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Well, no.
Well, okay. So instead of getting emotional, instead of getting angry and emotional about it, state your case with clarity and confidence.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Iran has been at war with us for 50 years. They've declared openly and are practicing.
Okay, fine.
Of murdering as many Americans and Jews as possible. Do you know what happened on October 7th a couple years ago? They went and they slaughtered a bunch of women and children and babies. This is bogus, all right? The focus is not on Israel. That's the only case I need to make right there. It's not Israel that's declaring Iran should not exist. It should be blown off the water. And it's them that are jihad against us. It is them that have attacked us for 50 years. And I've had enough of it. It's time to finish them off. I see one more thing. I see these people in Iran building those buildings.
Let him make court.
Made his point.
No, let him finish his point, for Pete's sake. You do this all the time. You keep interrupting. Let him finish.
Eric.
I'm asking you to let him finish his point.
That's my point.
Okay, he said it. All right, and the rest is just frosting on the cake. Okay,
it's common sense, baby.
All right, so Eric, I would just want to throw in another little tidbit. Do you have a number for how many Americans have been killed by the Iranians in Iraq?
Let me see if I can get that for you. Hold on a second.
Yes. Prediction, it's around 2,000. In other words, 2,000 Americans were killed by IEDs planted in Iraq by Iran. That's why Soleimani was killed.
How about the hostages in 79? How about the USS Cole? How about they were put money into 9/11? The list goes on and on and on of their attempt to murder as many Americans as possible.
Yeah. So
this notion that somehow we're the bad guys or Israel. The same thing with Israel. Israel is a bigger target than we are.
Good job there, Eli. You got us fighting with each other.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you, Eli.
No, I think
Israel's not
these
the
are all
problem.
these are all valid questions, and I'm of the opinion that the answer is a little bit more nuanced than Jason is presenting it. But that's
Oh,
yeah. Well, I
Wow.
do.
which nuance do you have
Yeah,
in
what's
mind?
what is-
I have some nuances too.
Listen, if I was an Israeli citizen, I would be calling for the end of Iran as loudly as I possibly could. As many Iranian government people, letting Iranians dead as possible, because that's what they're trying to do to me.
Right.
thing here in this
And
country, by the
an
way.
eye for an eye. Yeah, that solves everybody's
Okay, so
problems.
the thing here is that
Well, being beaten. How about okay? So one eye, the bad guy kills the good guy, and that solves the problem. You don't fight back. You don't fight back.
You know, look.
well, this sounds like a familiar conversation like we had earlier.
Yeah.
Nathan.
Right. So
I hate the.
I'm not insensitive to the fact that there are a lot of people in the world that hate us, and in particular hate Christians, for that matter.
Yeah.
Muslims.
But I think that this is again. I mean, your approach to this is ideological, and it's duly.
It's
well,
logical, not ideological.
What do you
no,
mean?
hold on. If I could recapitulate your point that you made probably a little bit more than a week ago, you had stated that their ideology was in contradistinction to ours and that they are ideologically driven. That was the point you made. And I was saying that it was sort of it was both ideological and economic. So that was my point. Like one was using economics to prop up their ideology and vice versa.
Right, and we got into a discussion about the value of money.
Exactly. Right.
The motivation of money. So I would argue that the money is just the means to an end for them. It's really about their ideology. It's not the money is only the means to an end. So in other words, the
ideology.
Guns. It's not guns that kill people. It's the people behind the guns. It's just like that. It's not money. It's the love of the use of money.
Whose ideology? Whose ideology are we talking about here?
Talking about the jihadist ideology
of Islam, Muslims. That ideology. Hello, Iran.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. Ideology, a cultural and a religious ideology that is propagated in the Middle East.
Okay. But Eli over here is doing a good job of stirring up the mud in the water.
Wait till we get talking about John DeBarros, man. I'm not even fired about that more than anything.
Yes. Okay. That's right. Israel controls Chris Shea, and Israel is why John DeBarros lost in the primary. It's Israel's fault, of course.
It's Israel's fault.
No, I don't. Yeah.
George Bush started Hurricane.
I don't think that's the argument that he's making.
No, I'm mocking his argument. Okay.
Well, I know, but that's just that's not an answer. And this is what I mean. You're doing the same thing that the libs do in that Enfield group where there's like 8,000 people. You do the same damn thing. It's like, what's the solution to the problem? Okay, there are various components at play, and do you agree or do you disagree with that Gaza has been completely leveled because they want to advance what they're calling the Greater Israel Project?
No, I disagree.
And so
completely. That's completely
okay. All right, fine. You're okay. Fine. You're welcome to disagree with that.
After October 7th, I think it was time to go in there.
Okay, but still, you're hyper focused on the October 7th and the attack, and you're missing the larger picture that wars have often been used and stoked to drum up and generate support for this sort of what I can only call revolving door paradigm of how to generate, this artificial economic prosperity. So it's like you have to destroy something to rebuild it. And this is actually a business model.
Eric,
I can't believe I'm talking. It's like I'm talking to the two village idiots in the room. I'm serious. I swear.
Eric.
Now listen to me,
Eric. We're not village idiots.
Eric, listen to me.
No.
If Israel wasn't being attacked, we wouldn't have had to level Gaza. Okay, Simple. If Israel, if the Arab community had accepted the fact that the Jewish people deserve a home in 1948, and they allowed Israel to coexist peacefully and didn't keep attacking it, then guess what? Gaza would not be leveled today. Gaza would be doing just fine.
Do you deny that there? No, stop. Hold on. I want to address his point first. Stop. I want to address his point first.
Arabs live in Israel. Do you have a count? It's a big number. You'd be surprised.
Okay. What about Christians? What about the Christians in Gaza? What about the
stats are there? All you got to is look it up. Okay.
Leave Israel alone. It would leave you alone. It's that simple. Leave them alone. They leave you alone. That way, it was true then. It's true now. But go ahead. What's your point, Eric?
My point is that there are a lot of moving parts to what's going on over in the Middle East, and the bag of goods, I do not agree with the bag of goods. Israel knew about the attack of October 7th before it was actually going to occur. So why did they, so my question to you would be, why did they give a stand down order? Which is the same question I would pose to, why was a stand down order given by Dick Cheney before the attacks of 9/11?
Any evidence at all that Israel allowed themselves to be attacked?
It's public knowledge.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No. It's public knowledge for people who don't believe information that they don't like. Okay? It's that simple. The issue of look, you're going down one path here with 9/11, Eric. There's another path to go down completely different from that, and it has nothing to do with a received or established narrative. You end up with all these stories and versions, and I don't know how to sort it out. But I know what I'm inclined to believe. I'll give you an example.
I think all of the questions that were supposed
now you're interrupting me.
Okay, but if I could, fine. So if I could interject.
Now you're interrupting me.
Right. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Continue.
Barium. Are you familiar with the barium problem with 9/11?
No.
Okay. Barium is a metal that is not used in construction. It is not a thing for metal alloys. It's not a thing to reinforce any damn thing, except for one thing. The problem was, after the buildings fell, it was reported that there was an abnormally high amount of barium. What the hell was it doing there? Well, guess what? Barium does have a significant use in explosives.
Yeah,
it helps the explosives blow up more intensely. Barium. So what are we talking about when you had a massive amount of barium where it shouldn't be?
All right, so Eric, if what you
okay, so hold on a second. So what has the barium got to do with the set of circumstances under which 9/11 took place?
Inside job.
What's the connection?
After everything fell down,
right?
And they analyzed the rubble. They had certain expectations about what the composition of the rubble would be, and there was something that was not supposed to be there. Barium.
Okay.
And the only explanation for the presence of barium is that explosives were used to bring the building down. Explosives would be the only way.
Okay, all right. So do you remember that Alex Jones had a broadcast, I believe it was in August of that same year.
Yes.
And he had predicted that there would be an attack on 9/11.
Yep.
And he also all the other questions that were asked, I think, who is it? Larry Silverstein, who frequents the town of Greenwich, or who has frequented the town of Greenwich with his big 270 some odd foot yacht, Silver Chalice, and he parks it over there in Greenwich Harbor. So the one day, like, he goes to work every single day, and on the one day of the attacks, he doesn't show up. And apparently a lot of people didn't show up for work that day. So there's that component to it. So there's that, like, what happened to the people that generally show up for work that didn't? And then what about the stand down order that apparently Dick Cheney gave, like when they had the, I guess, whatever, presumably cruise missiles that were coming in, and where was all of the evidence buried in all of the camera footage that from Washington, D.C. when the so-called plane hit the Pentagon? Where was all that stuff? So all of these are good questions that have been asked that don't seem to have any answers.
How about that the 9/11 Commission never even investigated where the money might have come from to pay for this attack?
Sure.
Never even looked into it. There's not.
Why was Osama bin Laden and his family flown back to the Middle East?
I watched a movie about this back in 2006. Why are we talking about this? Let me tell you something. It's well established that people often allow for or even facilitate attacks on their own people in order to facilitate whatever political gains they want.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna remember you said that.
Yeah, I'm gonna grant you. Even if what you said about October 7th is true, right? Let's say what you're saying is true. Israel knew it was going to happen, and they let it happen anyway, right? Because why would they do something like that? Well, I know, because they want to create the sympathy for themselves, so to create the United States more involved.
The ends justifying the means. Exactly.
Justifying the means. So it's sickening. Okay, it's sickening.
I agree with you.
But
I totally agree with you.
But it doesn't change the fact that they knew when they did that they knew that these barbarians were going to come in and slaughter them. They knew that they're still their cause. The way they're trying to handle their cause is disgusting when they do that. Same thing with 9/11. They did 9/11 because they wanted gun control. That's the main reason, I think, behind 9/11. They wanted gun control. They wanted to take away our rights in terms of unwarranted surveillance and unwarranted searches and things like that, and enact the Patriot Act. So that's clearly one of the major reasons behind what happened in 9/11. In this case, okay, for Israel, if what you're saying is true, which it very well may be, they're trying to create more sympathy, more funding, and more help to defend themselves against what is ultimately still the ultimate enemy, which is still Iran.
Well,
as sick it is the way they're trying to handle
Islam, the ultimate enemy.
Islam. Yeah, thank you, Court. Islam in general. So it doesn't change the ultimate problem, even though the way they're trying to solve it is abhorrent and sickening.
Right.
Doesn't change the fact that we still have the enemy, ultimate enemy.
Okay, so do you have a ukulele song you'd like to play at this time?
Yeah, I got one for Eric real quick. Here it goes. Ready?
Go ahead.
Ready? Here it goes.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just want to make you slaves and institute Islam. Na, 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 na. There you go.
That's the suckiest Muslim song I ever heard.
That's Jesse J and Not About the Money with my little twist to it.
I see. Okay. So, all right. So Eli Benson is having fun here. The part that I would like to get you to think about, even though you're accusing us of just relying off of news articles, barium is barium, my friend.
Well, I guess what he's saying, and if I'm inferring from what he's saying is that you guys seem to be parroting a lot of, I guess, what I would call the Fox News talking points, and what are called Zionist talking points.
Yeah, well, they never talk about barium.
I don't care about the Jewish religion. I don't care about what they do. Okay, I'm not even
okay. I'm not. That's fine. I'm just saying I'm just saying. Hey, hold on! Don't shoot the messenger here.
No, I have.
All I'm saying is that I believe that is what he is inferring from what the position that you guys are taking, or particularly Jason is taking on this.
I have sympathy for a country that is being attacked and being, constantly told it shouldn't exist. It should, I have sympathy for that. Yeah.
This is my hold on. So this is my take on the whole thing. I am of the opinion that I think that we do not have all of the answers to what is happening or transpiring in the Middle East.
Well,
I think that this is largely a power play, because I do understand that Iran has been somewhat holding, some of the world economy hostage with respects to how much or how little oil it allows to flood out into the world markets and so forth.
Oil flow until this conflict started.
Sorry?
It hasn't restricted oil flow until this conflict started.
Well, right. So
we would.
In other words, everything was fine and on track and seemed to be going well until this whole Iran thing. Now, here's my problem: is Trump has been trying, and I would say somewhat in vain, to arrange ceasefires and get a peace deal going, and then Israel keeps stoking the fucking fire. and basically I do believe that Trump came out and said they don't know what the fuck they're doing, which I agreed with.
Well, both of them. He accused both.
Well,
of them.
yeah, exactly. So something is going on there where Trump is, and this kind of goes back to points that Tucker Carlson has been trying to make to the public in terms of, like, why is he making some of the decisions that he is? Like, who has it's like does a government or governments have dirt on Trump, or is it because they helped him get elected with money and sort of thing, and so they can, they're holding the purse string so they can tell him what to do? I mean, from a superficial standpoint, I can understand why like someone like him would draw those conclusions, which I could tend to agree with. But again, I'm of the opinion that I do not think that we are privy or know all of the machinations and mechanisms that are at play in the Middle East with respect to what's going on.
Let me give you another scenario. Like you're implying that someone might have something on Trump potentially, or someone has. Now, I would say that I ask myself the same question. Why isn't Trump just like Harry Truman knew that the Japanese were not going to surrender easily, and to go in and try to take Japan was going to be a long world struggle politically and militarily. And so he just nuked the hell out of 2 towns and had it over within a week. Now, I'm not saying we should do that to Iran by any means, but the bottom line is a decisive victory is needed. Now, why isn't Trump going forward with that? Maybe now my opinion is maybe somebody does have his ear, but it's not because they have something on him. Maybe they have something on our country. Maybe they have a way to destroy one of our cities, or maybe they have some way of really hurting us that Trump is afraid of.
Okay, but and to that point, I would say that because I do know that China has been
maybe China
by proxy been engaging in this war in sort of a proxy sense.
China told Trump. Let me give you a scenario. Maybe China told Trump behind the scenes, look, we could push a button and take your electric grid down and your food supply chain down within 5 minutes. So don't fuck with Iran anymore. You can go. We'll give you an off ramp.
Well, look. Here's another component.
You don't know what's happening.
Here's another component to this, and this is something that I've also thought about. And actually, I thought about this going all the way back into the 90s, because I became extremely interested in somebody's got their volume way up on their speaker or whatever, because I'm getting feedback that I'm hearing in my thing
hasn't
here.
Changed in months, so
yeah, this is why I wish people would wear headphones and we don't have these problems. But anyway,
Eric, that's part of what you're going to help me with this week.
There you go.
Okay.
So yeah, Sony Studio Pros, my man. That's what you need.
Well, you're going to be my guide on that next week.
Absolutely.
So you should try and respond to these gentlemen over here, but carry on.
Yeah, I'm reading it here. What is he saying?
There's Evil Empire and Dark Sage.
See, I can't see any of that stuff.
All right.
I think you can look in the, if you're in the studio and you go to a comment.
That's why.
Go to studio, go to comments. And you can read the comments section there.
Facebook.
I see them over here. Yeah, comments.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to take my screen down for that. Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we have responses. We'll get to them.
Right. Yeah. Look, I agree with him about. I want to address the Connecticut, the gubernatorial race and Fazio and all that stuff. But let's just wrap up our Iran-Israel conversation, and then we can move on to that.
I agree.
So look, I don't think that this is going to be resolved. I have noticed that fuel prices have started to come down
a little bit
in the area. Yeah, probably about 10 to 15 cents a gallon or whatever. I mean, every little bit helps. Okay. But to your point about China has whatever, look, I think it was the Clinton administration that sold, and Rush Limbaugh actually spoke about this, where Clinton had sold some of our military technology to China.
Loral technology.
What?
Loral technology.
Yeah, you remember, you know.
Yes,
so yeah, so there was that, and I think that has continued. Now, to the point about China and the conversation a little bit earlier about their population numbers. I think the other thing that's not being explored here, and I would be interested to look at the trajectory of their, if we could get accurate numbers about their population. I think to the degree a society begins to prosper, they have less children. It seems to be that the masses of population seem to proliferate in impoverished countries rather than prosperous ones.
Well, while you were off, I had put up the birth rate data for Iran, and they're below the replacement rate.
Okay. All right. So there we go. Okay. So, and you guys have anything to add about the Iran, Israel, Middle East thing, or can you want to move on to Connecticut?
I would like, hold on. I would just like to polish off this thing here about the Strait of Hormuz controlling 25% of the world's most needed resources. Saudi Arabia in particular, but also the UAE and Bahrain, have taken measures where they are diverting shipments that normally go through the strait by other means. Okay, they have one pipeline in which they've doubled their throughput to the Red Sea. Okay, so that's off the table for Iran. And then finding other ways to deliver oil to the Red Sea away from Hormuz. Okay, so yeah, it's Iran's ability to have impact is getting weaker with each passing day. And there are other projects in the fullness of time over the next couple of years, which will also bypass Hormuz. This will become a non-issue in due time. So that's that part. Meantime, let's jump on this guy, Darksage, and all his stuff.
Okay, so yeah, so Connecticut, the gubernatorial race. So just to recapitulate, I was involved in, I worked with a candidate in the gubernatorial race. I worked in the Betsy McCoy campaign. Yep. And I thought that her ideas were most representative of people that, of what the people genuinely wanted. I think Ryan Fazio, I mean, you know, look, much to, I understand that he's voted with Democrats like 60 or 63% of the time. I could be wrong about that.
His voting record's terrible.
Yeah, his voting record is terrible. And then he goes up there and tries to give everybody a tongue lashing about, you know, we got to do this, we got to do that. Well, you know, look, dude, you've been in there for what, 6 years now, give or take. And I think he even voted against Rob Sampson was one of the, I'm not too impressed with his voting record either, but he went against one of the crucial votes that Fazio and like many other Republicans voted with. And the reason why we're in this, and I can't reiterate this enough, the reason why Connecticut is in this like green energy mess is because of people like Fazio, Lamont, and many of the Democrats and Rhino Republicans voted, yeah, we got to have renewables, and using all of this fuzzy, feel good, psycho mind chatter language that gets people to think, oh yeah, we got to do something about that. You know, fossil fuels bad, windmills good, and all that fun stuff, right? But you know, it's ridiculous. If you want a reflection on what the best technology to use for energy, just look at what the military does. Does the military use anything green? I mean, and if they do, it's probably on a very small scale.
Yeah, they experimented with it.
Well, sure. But and a lot of that technology, like the solar and the efficiency of solar panels, comes out of research from military projects and all that, which is a lot of the things the public don't realize.
Yep.
But they abandon them because they're inefficient. So
they didn't abandon it. It's like, you know, you move it from applied research to back to basic research, where you just keep
or abandon. Look, there are many projects that the military engaged in and just scrapped.
Yeah,
it's like
goes on all the time. True for corporations, true for universities, same story.
Okay, so what is the military power their machinery, their heavy machinery with, particularly aircraft carriers and submarines and stuff? Nuclear power. That's the most efficient form of power that we have right now. So it's kind of like a no-brainer that they could conceivably power a lot of these AI data centers with nuclear batteries or nuclear small nuclear reactors.
It's being worked on. There's a startup company in Utah called, I think it's Vibrant Energy.
Yeah.
And their business model is to actually create a production line for making small modular reactors. Rather than one-off handcrafted systems, they're looking for a way to turn everything into systematized steps of assembly, and this will reduce the unit costs for these reactors, and in turn reduce the cost of producing energy.
Right.
So that's a startup company.
Right. So
But, yeah.
look, Fazio would have done much better if he had come if he had come forward with a business plan to say, look, I'm going to cut the taxes by X amount of percent, because that's kind of his whole thing right now. But this is what I'm going to do for the job and the GDP sector. We're going to bring in this company, these companies, and that are going to do research and development and create companies that will build X or build Y or whatever it is. I also gave him the keys to the kingdom. I spoke with his father. I think I've talked about this before,
Sure.
which bears repeating. I did a little bit of homework, and there's about $14 billion at least $14 billion of unrealized revenue on Connecticut's waterfront. Connecticut has one of the longest coastal waterfronts in New England. Aside from Maine. Maine has over 3,300 miles. I think Connecticut is probably second. I think aside from Massachusetts is the outlier only because the Cape there. I don't know that there's. I could be wrong, but I don't think that there's any industrial.
But Eric, to your point, we still have a significant, awesome long coastline that leads right into New York City. Trade route.
So my proposition was, not the big heavy container ships that come in, but you could have medium and small container ships. You'd probably have to dredge the channel for Bridgeport, I think, because it hasn't been done in like 50 years or whatever it is, and then. What do you call it? You would have Stratford is another one, and I think
Stratford.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. There actually used to be a military Air Force base.
Yeah, Lordship. It's called Lordship.
You know what I'm talking about. So
big ship.
Yeah, I think that they were going to sell it for $1, but there was like asbestos in there, and they were going to whatever. But so you have instead of putting up all these like condominiums and affordable housing and developing the coastline, and that's fine. We got plenty of coastline for that. But you have New Haven, which is already situated for the oil tankers. They do fuel dumps up in New Haven. And so you have that sort of that Bay area there, which would be ripe for shipping containers and so forth.
Well, there's a lot of infrastructure you're talking about.
Well, yes, but look, my point is, if you had that, you would get the federal money, you get federal dollars coming back into Connecticut to help develop these waterfronts, which would in turn create jobs. People could make startup companies like delivering things, or mechanics would be needed, and other industries like that service all of the components that make the moving parts of the entire industry work, right?
Well, unfortunately, neither of our two gubernatorial candidates are going to talk about things like that.
Well, right. I mean, and this is just, it just boggles my. It's like it's a gold mine they're sitting on, and they're just talking about. All Fazio is out there doing is just telling us everything we already know and how bad everything already is. It's like, it's like at some point, put together a project and a plan and give people a reason to vote for you instead of just finger pointing, because that's all that's going on. And I don't know what Lamont's whole thing is he just basically thumps his chest about how great Connecticut is, and all of his all of his lemmings and his seals just, they get there and they clap. Yeah, Lamont's great. You're a great guy. You're a fan. You've done such a wonderful job, at governing Connecticut. And then you got all of these like unions that support him. So what does Connecticut actually produce other than the money that comes in, the federal dollars that come in for Electric Boat, Sikorsky, and then of course the insurance industry, which is another thing we talked about. I mean, I can't, like, all of the factories. We used to have factories here. We actually used to build shit here in Connecticut, and we're not doing it anymore.
Oh, we're being run by far left Marxists. That's why.
There you go.
That's simple. Hey, listen, I got to run, you guys. You continue without me if you want. My time is up. I got work to do. But
all right, Jason, great to have you with us.
Yes,
thanks for coming in on the WCFR Connecticut Free Radio District 4, and you are a wonderful guy.
All right, there you
go.
Before I go, I'm going to do the quiz. Remember the Erie Canal the other day?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do it with the two of you. I'm going to give you some clues, Eric. You got to come up with the place.
I'll try my best.
The place. Okay. Shout out if you get it right. Okay, this is a place. Okay. Number one, I held the first U.S. labor strike.
Held the first U.S. labor strike.
Mm-hmm. Any guesses?
Pondering coal. Let's see.
Place. Remember?
Oh, it's a place. Okay.
I have the first U.S. labor strike.
Do I need to name the town?
Yes, the city. Yes, it's this place. Number two, I have Huskies, but I'm not Alaska.
That would be Yukon.
Well,
Number three, I hosted the 1962 World's Fair.
That would be, was that New York City? Yeah, New York, wasn't it?
I held the first U.S. labor strike. I have Huskies, but I'm not Alaska. I hosted the 1962 World's Fair.
That had to be New York.
No internet allowed.
New York.
Number four, I am the Pacific Northwest's largest city. Come on, it's a giveaway.
That would be Seattle.
You got it. Seattle, Washington. Number five, I am in the Evergreen State. So Seattle, Washington. Held the first U.S. labor strike. They have Huskies. That would be the Washington Huskies.
Yeah.
But I'm not Yukon, but I've hosted the 62 World's Fair. All right, one more.
Well, that's actually difficult because Yukon has Huskies and so does yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have the first U.S. labor strike. So
trick question. All right.
Okay, I'll let that go. The next one for next time. All right, you guys, I'm taking off for Common Sense News and Entertainment. Right. Thanks for watching once again. Goodbye, everybody. See you guys.
Good night. All right.
Okay, it's just us now.
Yeah.
Us against the world. Yeah, Aaron was. Look, let's talk about Aaron Stewart. Are you guys still there in the chat? Because if you're still with us,
hard to say. But so let's see. So Evil Empire looks like he's still around. Got a few things to say.
Okay.
Eli,
do you have a register on how many people are watching right now, or
it's varied. It got as high as 5, and it's now down to 2.
Okay. Well, anyway, 2 is better than none. But anyway, so Aaron Stewart, was a horrible choice.
Yes.
And this is the woman that Ben Proto was like propping up and parading around. I mean, it's like, how could you not know that she had all of this baggage? I mean, it's almost as like it was a deliberate attempt to sabotage. And if he knew about her and they didn't want to say anything about her, he had to know that it would eventually come out, and it would if it came out, her campaign would get tanked, which it did.
Right. So let me add to that. So I met with Lisa Dean, I told you last night. And so she had some people sitting around, and there's this one guy who is carrying on about almost defending Aaron, almost. Okay. And he was trying to excuse and downplay her activities, the financial peccadillos. And I'm listening to this, and again, this guy is not being honest with himself or anybody else about what Aaron Stewart did. And this reflects the attitude of a lot of Republicans in this party. We cannot accept or face up to when one of our own is doing things wrong. You're going to have to do a better job than that if you want to clean up our party. Just saying.
Yeah, look, I am of the opinion, I think that Connecticut is a leaderless state, and that would go look, I like Ryan Fazio. I think he's an okay guy. I just don't think that he's got the leadership qualities that the state needs. And I mean that a genuine leader has there's a soul about them, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the first part. the ability to read the room.
Yeah.
Or in this case, the ability to read the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody who can do that. I mean, let me think. Actually, I'm going to say it. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Well, also being able to listen to what people have to say too.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm going to say Jonathan DeBarros. In my interactions with him, I find that he has that situational awareness that is lacking in other people. And another one. I agree. And another one, I need to get to know him a little bit better, but Reese Hopkins would be a candidate in my mind.
Absolutely.
Okay, both of them.
Reese on the radio. I am of the. I'm going to state for the record, right now. Yes. You're live on Yankee News.
Yes. All right. Let's get ready. Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. I am going to if Reese Hopkins.
Yes.
First of all, I'm going to encourage Reese Hopkins to run for governor, and if he does run for governor, as disgusted as I am with politics and wanting absolutely zero to do with it any longer, I will endorse Reese Hopkins as a gubernatorial candidate in the next go around. I think he is a fantastic guy. I think he knows how to read the room. He's mature and he's assertive. He's got soul, he's got a soul about him. He's got the fire in the belly. That's probably what I'm looking for.
No, yeah. I would need to see more. You guys are spineless. What is he talking about? Man the F up. You guys are spineless. What is he talking about?
I have no idea.
All right.
Where that comment or why that comment was directed. But anyway.
Well, you don't know Evil Empire, if you're still around, you don't know our background. You don't know the roads we have traveled. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying.
Well, he's probably also drinking, but he just stated that he's going to get a Miller Lite. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
It's
for him, it's Miller time, probably all the time.
Forgive them for they know not what they do or they know not what they say. So enjoy your Miller Lite. All right. So there are those two. I'm desperately trying to think of some other possibilities we've met. At the moment, I'm hard pressed to come. I'm going to give you a dark horse. You ready?
Shoot.
Sheila Matthews.
I could see that, but and I like Sheila. Don't get me wrong. I think she's fantastic. I think that she, I don't know. I mean, I think she would make a good lieutenant governor. I think she would probably even make a good state secretary as well. Probably.
Okay. Let's look at what she's done over the years.
Yeah.
I just got to respond to these. Yeah, there you go. So, all right. So I'll try for just one more here as I ponder this. In our travels, it's funny because as I'm going through this in my mind, I can certainly think of a long list of people who had no business even trying.
Sure. Well, and I agree with this last statement, and I've said this before on the podcast that I think I am of the opinion and maintain that I don't believe that we can no longer hope to vote our way into the right direction any longer. I think it's going to come down to either people have to start or stop and refuse to comply with all of these draconian measures and edicts and laws that are coming down from Hartford. I don't understand how like Tong or even Lamont or whatever, they're treating the state of Connecticut like it's a sovereign, like it's sovereign, like it's a country, like it's their country, And
Right.
how dare ICE come in and invade our country? Yada yada yada. They have no gumption to comport or comply with federal law. And the people and the citizens of Connecticut are the heavy for this. They're the ones that are taking the hits on all this. You know, why people in the state of Connecticut might not be able to get work or whatever, because they're subsidizing all of the illegal activity that's taking place here, including but not limited to people coming in from other countries.
All right. On the subject of illegals in Connecticut, I would like to point out that there are, because Lamont and the others who love not saying that Connecticut is a sanctuary state, they will not report on the changes that are occurring, courtesy of ICE and others, in self-deportation in Connecticut. But I will tell you this: rents are beginning to decrease. And that's because the illegals are leaving. Okay? There is less demand for rentals, so the prices go down. Now,
Right.
I do not have exact numbers, but you can see that happening. The other thing that's happening is that in some areas, housing prices are beginning to go down, all right, in Connecticut, which is unexpected. And I kind of want to use sort of a similar explanation, okay? Something to keep in mind.
Well, this is good. I mean, this is good news. So,
all right, so they're now going to tell us. All right, they're going to keep beating.
So the answer to Jason's question, where the first labor strike took place, apparently was in the year 1788. And I don't know if this may or may not have been his correct answer.
Okay,
but right. I looked it up, and apparently the answer is in 1788. The AFL-CIO explicitly identifies the New York Journeyman Tailors Strike of 1788, the first recorded strike in American history.
Okay, 1788.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that's like 1 year after the Constitution was implemented.
Yeah.
Who knew? All right, noted.
Yep. Right. But I think we have Connecticut has got a rich history. I think Connecticut also has probably, because of Connecticut's diverse demographic, it makes it an interesting state to be in, as well, for some people.
All right. Okay, so Evil Empire, what propaganda program? Campaign.
Yeah, what is he talking about?
Yeah, we need context. I mean, if you're talking about Fazio, all right, it's politics. And we know that truth and politics do not normally hang out together.
In the immortal words of Gerald Celente, politics is show business for ugly people.
Yes, that's right. Well, here we are. And we're not entertained. I'll just let you know.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so
and incidentally, so I'd be interested to, for the record, I can say, based on what I've been told, and I don't know if this is just more like this is going to happen or that's going to happen, because I always hear stuff like that. I don't believe anything until it actually happens. So I take, I believe less than half of what I see, and probably even less than that of what I hear, with respect to people being held accountable. And one of the things I intimated to the panel last night at this conference up in Manchester, with the gubernatorial candidate, John Bolton, who's running for AG in the state of Connecticut, against Attorney General Tong. Bolton for AG, I think, .com, so if you want to go check him out. But one of the things that was intimated to me by the panel last night was that that I expressed. I said, look, I'm not interested in being involved in politics any longer if the trends continue where all of these people, these thugs, these criminals, and so forth, are just not held accountable. So why should I, a taxpayer or a citizen of the state, be expected to comply with the law if none of you guys are going to do it? You guys aren't enforcing the law. You expect all of us to do it, and you're going to throw up cameras, and monitor everybody's activity that you'll fail to turn on yourself, or tell on yourself, and so forth. And I think that there is a gentleman, I think it was at maybe a Pennsylvania meeting, public hearing. I got to try to find that video again, but it was a young man about the way they're generating levies, fees, and fines against people who are purportedly like driving over the speed limit with these flock cameras and all this sort of thing, is that the ticket has to be issued by an officer. You have the right to confront your accuser. Right. All fees, fines, and levies and due have to be issued by the state or a state agency. They can't be done by a third party. It has to, in other words, and I don't know that that's being done across the board, but these state agencies, local municipalities and or counties and so forth, have these third party vendors that are issuing the fees and the fines, and they're not supposed to do that. It's illegal what they're doing.
All right. Well, so make noise about that too. It's everywhere we turn. Something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. What was the other point you were going to jump on before you got into that? Jason and I got into a really heated discussion earlier today about election integrity. And
right.
I would say the core of this had to do with whether or not you could have any impact on how the state steals elections. And my answer was, yes, you can have an impact. And his answer was, no, you cannot. And to make my case, I referred to Linda Sinkowitz. What Linda Sinkowitz did was she put together, it's on her website, a list of 14 proposals for restoring election integrity in Connecticut. 14. That's a long list. So what did she do? She took this list and she had a personal meeting with the communist thug partisan hack, Stephanie Thomas. And when she showed the list to Stephanie, there was one in particular that terrified Stephanie. And that would have been the fact that something like more than half of all the registrars in the state are not certified to be registrars. Not certified. That's malfeasance, that's neglect, that's breaking the law. And that could potentially get Stephanie Thomas into trouble. Okay, so she reacted and she immediately took action and made sure that she got the registrar certified. Okay, so that doesn't do much about fraud in these elections, but the point is that she did get a reaction with her work and got Stephanie Thomas to make one small step in the correct direction.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't know if Evil Empire is referring to us or the other two or the other people in the chat. But he read a book called 1984 from George.
Well, you
George
missed our series, funny guy, Evil Empire, when Marianne and I sat down and analyzed the several chapters in Evil Empire. Those videos are buried deep in our archives somewhere. It'd be nice if we dredged them up. But yes, we spent time with it, and it was worth it because, great. We read 1984.
Yeah. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, Animal Farm. This is just a Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, The Martian Chronicles, all that fun stuff.
It's called Been There, Done That. That said, little things like a memory hole and little things like where Winston Smith worked and what he had to do every day. Yeah, okay. We remember.
Yep.
They may forget.
Have you ever seen a movie called Equilibrium? There's a movie called Equilibrium with Christian Bale, which was kind of a it kind of dovetailed. It was kind of a confluence of George Orwell's 1984, Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and Fahrenheit 451, all kind of like melded into one screenplay. And what I found interesting about it was that they were
Yes.
arrested for what they called sense offense. In other words, if you were indulging in the senses or the emotions, that things that made you feel, those were basically remanded as being illegal. To have anything in your possession, which would include but not be limited to various types of media, books, records, music, musical instruments, and a plethora of other things. And and then they would give the people their daily dose of prosium, or whatever the hell they called it.
Soma. Soma.
Well, in the movie it was called prosium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soma.
Yeah. So, and but they're doing this. They've been doing this. I think a lot of our population has gotten addicted to making doctor's visits, getting prescribed medications, popping pills, getting shots, and all of this kind of stuff. And that's kind of how they've gotten people to sort of, become divorced from their soul that
Sorry, I read it. I didn't read the whole book. I only got up to chapter 4, but I read it. And then she got distracted, went on to other things, but I read it. And the big point is, we understand the concept, okay, of 1984, an oppressive government that controls history, manipulates populations, things like the hate sessions.
I think we did say we read it. I've read it twice, actually.
Okay, so
the proletariat.
This book, okay, or the concept of it. Okay, seriously.
Oh, thank you, Eli. I appreciate that.
What do you say, Eric?
Well, I was talking about the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. Sure. Yeah. We can revisit all that stuff sometime. I'm on Facebook. You can also follow which I haven't done too much with, but and I also have a YouTube channel, Connecticut Livecast. I have a Facebook page, Connecticut Livecast, as well. And you can follow my Substack, Eric at Eric Ephraim, EPHRAM. Here, I'll spell it out for you in the chat here. If you want to do that, that's my Substack. If you want to follow my Substack, I read a lot of interesting stuff about that. And the surveillance state, which kind of dovetails with a lot of the Orwellian type of post apocalyptic
right. So do
type
you know
of
Natalie,
thing.
Do you know Natalie Winters?
That name does ring a bell.
Yeah, so she's on Steve Bannon, but she's been acting as an investigative reporter. And her latest report on her Substack, so that'll be nataliewinterssubstack.com, is about, this is bad. Okay, this is really, really bad. Military officials who are working with the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, I'm not. Why are we surprised at this point?
Well,
because and I'll bet you dimes to donuts that that.
Oh, nice try.
That money's involved.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And it's
okay. Why don't you educate us and have another Miller? It's Miller time all the time.
Yeah.
For 4466.
Talk about in 1984, Evil Empire 4466. Okay.
Yeah.
Government takes it where you're right, dictates reality to you, changes history, creates hate sessions. I don't know. What am I leaving out?
Who cares? Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That's fine.
Bye-bye.
All right. So the thing that I wanted to beat on here, we got a little bit of time left, is that there are things to do to put more pressure on Stephanie Thomas with respect to election fraud. Now, the note of hope that I want to throw in here, I don't know if how much you followed this, but according to Reese, when he was in an interview with L. Todd Wood on the Connecticut Sentinel, has I don't want to say that he knows a person who's a private investigator who's doing a deep dive on a nonprofit that's supposedly working with the state of Connecticut with respect to its voter rolls. And the preliminary report is that it's bad. Okay. There are things that will have to come to light about the state of Connecticut and Stephanie Thomas in particular with respect to election integrity. And it's going to be.
I think she mentioned something about that. Linda Sinkowitz mentioned something about that last night.
Yeah. Okay.
At the panel discussion, which was
Same
interesting.
thing.
So yeah. I think so. Well, look, again, I always go back to the idea that I'm not interested in hearing about anything that's going to be done. I want to see something done. Otherwise, it's just, talk.
Correct.
So show me, don't tell me sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I mean, we find ourselves in I don't know, what do I want to call this? Call it an awkward position, for lack of a better term. And then, and so we have the other part of this. Did the whole thing with Melissa Ramirez come up last night?
I think it was touched upon. I have to scrub through the video again to see, I got to put together kind of like a sizzle reel or highlight reel from the discussion last night. So we'll see what happens after that.
Right.
I think she came up briefly. She wasn't the focal point of the conversation, but I think she may have been mentioned as an aside. But it was primarily focused on like social issues and the inner and the urban areas in Connecticut, like the proliferation of fentanyl that's also gotten into the prison systems. They talked a little bit about that, how a lot of the marijuana and stuff is being laced with fentanyl now. And it's, so it's like you never know what you're getting.
I reported it a couple of years ago.
Yep. A rather large truckload made its way into Connecticut. And I think MS-13
it was 55 pounds.
Yep.
Enough to kill the population of Connecticut. I forget whether it was 3 or 9 times over.
Yep. So, and that's all coming from China, by the way.
Well, the precursor is coming from China. It goes to Mexico.
They're the ones that are funding it.
Final form, but yes.
Yeah, that's this is all part of the attempt to undermine and destroy the culture of America, to get people addicted to drugs, people addicted to the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and get people away from God, get people away from being Bible believing Christians. Which is what this country was established, predicated on.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, in a way, it's just a weird feeling. It kind of feels like we're at the end of something, and I can't really put my finger on what exactly it is. But I think a lot of people are feeling the same things.
You remember the book that Bob McGuffey wrote?
I don't, and I never read it, actually.
Yeah. So I'd interviewed him on it, and so this book, there's a whole community out there about cycles of history. Whether it's a 100-year cycle, a 5,000-year cycle, it's you identify certain key events that take place, and they take place, and then it starts all over again. So these historical cycles are fairly common. So he selected one that he found very compelling that takes about 80 years, an 80-year cycle of history. And his argument is that we are near the end of this 80-year cycle.
Yeah.
So there'll be this, if you will, falling apart and reassembly, and then the cycle starts over again.
Right.
That's what he's arguing. That would, go with your feeling like we're at the end of something. Which
Is DJ Ricky Smith going to be able to come in at all tonight?
No, not tonight. I know he had said he had something he had to do. And so, a lot of nights he's out there, working on some gig. Right. So maybe tomorrow night, maybe Saturday night, we'll see. Sure, he'll have something to add. Right. So anyway, so I'm still hung up on this stuff about election integrity for Connecticut. I have to believe that.
Well, I think you should probably either call or send another communication to Linda, and have that conversation with her.
I got to talk with her. That's right. Yep, that's correct.
So anyway, I guess that kind of wraps it up for this evening.
Sure.
How's
okay.
it?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so off we go once again, and then I'll check in with you tomorrow.
Yeah, kiss and eat you later. I'm eating a potato.
Oh, jeez. All right.